Please, God bless you, but please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. Please stop following me.
You won't call the cops.
Stop. I don't. Stop stalking me. Please, I can't live here anymore because you stalked me. That's why I'm here.
I didn't look at him terrorizing her. Mr. Perry does the same to me. So does Mr. Roberts. Mr. Perry has a team. You're hacking me. You got voyeurism problems. You're using my food delivery apps to stalk me. My guys have caught it. You're caught. Some of those people that you used now have wiretap orders on them. Leave me the fuck alone. Look, I didn't come to Oklahoma to fight with you, to fight with anybody. Mr. Perry, I kept my mouth shut for 4 fucking years. I didn't go to the media with it. You shut up. I didn't ask you what you think, sir. You have reduced yourself to the butt of a dirty joke. You're supposed to be a dignitary. You're not wanted. I am not in love with you, and I have said that, and said that, and said that, and said that. Get out of delusion, man. You're making everybody mad again today. So, my guys, Mr. Perry had law enforcement on him before I even got to Oklahoma. Only 4 people, I'm sorry, only about 5 people, Mr. Perry, knew that you had a stalker problem. 2 of them lived in Lubbock because they saw you and asked me what the hell's going on. Ms. Underwood was one. She actually ended up moving, so she doesn't live in Lubbock anymore. I didn't go to the media with it. I went to your manager and said, make him stop. And you threatened to ruin my business then. You proceeded to do so. We have a witness that says you like trolling women. You're a serial stalker. You put cameras in women's homes when they're not home, and you broadcast them on the dark web, and that's been seen all over the world, sir. It's offensive. It's illegal for a reason. And then you cause financial problems. It's called economic abuse, domestic violence, coercion. Grand larceny with intent to coerce, interference with contracts. You make it where people can't fulfill the duties of their contract. Tortious interference. Coercion. Mr. Robertson, you need to watch who you brag to about who you kill and get away with it. My guys have talked to you guys. You just didn't know that's who you were talking to. I mean, this is ridiculous. I didn't come up to Oklahoma to pick a fight with you. Mr. Perry, we're told that you enjoy hurting people. You get off on it. And guess what? Everybody's sick and tired of the suffering you're causing. So you're getting caught and told on it, caught and told on it, caught and told on. And in 12 years, never a date. I can't stand you. So our witness says you like to get women fired, then they lose their house, then you have the ex take the kids away. He said he's a sexual sadist. He likes to get women hysterical, then he goes and rubs one out. And I'm quoting him. This time you got caught. I didn't come to Oklahoma to pick a fight with anybody. I came here to get away from one. She said I had to move. So did I. Twice. From Lubbock to the Dallas area. Then you started butting in between me and Fabian. Just like the puzzle depicts you. A selfish little butt-in. Just a little wannabe. Never the wanted one. And then I moved. Because you made it worse and you did shit like that, I moved from the Dallas area to Oklahoma. And the same way that you messed with me at a strip club with Pinto and Mickey James and Mr. Wagner and Joel and Mr. Robertson, and you like causing fear and intimidation, you're doing the same thing with my apps. Listen, when you do food delivery, you only can do it with an app on your phone. And the only way anybody would know when I'm working is they're watching me in my house get ready to go to work. And then they're watching me on my phone pull up the app and get orders. And those orders are figured out on an algorithm. You don't pick a driver. But some of the people that you had do that are now getting out there. They got a wiretap order on them, Mr. Robertson, Mr. Perry. They have you to thank for that. So now, sometimes they just jam the apps up so I can't do shit. I can't make any money. Get the hell out of my phone. Hacking is a crime. You're terrorizing me. I came here to avoid a fight, not pick one. If you picked one with me, Mr. Robertson, when you do a construction job, I'm sure you count the costs. You consider all the risks. Why didn't you do that with me? You picked a fight with me, not realizing I got some power behind me. Mr. Perry didn't bother to tell you about my long history in politics and law enforcement, that might have caused me to get to know some people who could be the first ever to stop your crime. I didn't come here to pick a fight with you. You picked one with me. I didn't ask you guys what you think or what you want or what you need. You were told to leave me the fuck alone, weren't you? You're irritating the shit out of everybody.
Leave me alone. I will.
This is terrorization. It is a crime. It is a crime in all 50 states. It is disgusting conduct. People don't like it because you're doing that to me, and everybody's sick and tired of watching you put hardship on me. You're a burden, Charles. You're like cancer. Nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, oh yeah, I have cancer. I think I will forego for chemotherapy and help the cancer grow. Nor am I going to help you. You do nothing but cause drama and problems. You're a troublemaker. You kill people. You hurt people. You cause suffering. And everybody wants you gone. I'm not going to help you. It is unbelievable you would even ask. He's typing in my phone. Please help us. Tell us who it is. No. I said no. When you're arrested, I won't ever be broke again. I'll have my privacy back, my family back. Everybody will be fine. We'll be fine again. We won't be under threat constantly that you're going to help yourself to things that don't belong to you. My granny used to get on to me. Keep your hands to yourself. If it's not yours, don't touch it. Have some dignity. Have some manners. Mr. Robertson, the thing that you do when someone's talking to you and they say something you don't want to hear, and you go, stop. Cut that the fuck out. It's very rude. It's very rude, sir. Pinto did it. I didn't say what he wanted to hear. That's your little thing. Everybody's starting to notice. With Robertson, if you say something and he doesn't like what you're saying, he'll flat out interrupt you and be rude. Stop doing that. Stop telling people when they can call me, when they can help me. Do not talk to my ex-husband again and tell him when he can and cannot help me. Get out of my business. Butt out. Butt the fuck out. No one asked you what you think, did they? I didn't come up here to pick a fight with you. You're picking one with me. You didn't count the cost. That's your fault. You're a grown-ass man. That's your fault. You guys act like a bunch of kindergartners. Do you have your passy and your blankie out when you're whining and crying when you get caught and you start doing your somebody done me wrong song? You did something wrong and you got caught. You did something wrong. As a grown-ass man, you decided, you knew it was wrong and you did it anyway. In fact, a lot of times you know you're already caught planning it and you did it anyway. And then you whine and cry when it blows up on you. You asked for it. You're a grown man. Act like it. Act like it. You're terrorizing us. Stop. Because when you get caught and told on, you are being stopped. That's what that is.
You talk to me for 2 minutes?
No, 0 minutes. I don't want to ever talk to you. I don't ever want to hear your voice to you. Please, God bless you, but please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. Please stop following me.
You won't call the cops.
Stop. I don't. Stop stalking me. Please, I can't live here anymore because you stalk me. That's what I mean.
No. Just talk.
Hello? Okay, I'll see you in 5. All right, bye.
Stalking has changed over the years because stalkers are employing more and more techniques to perfect their crime.
Technology is being used in most stalking cases.
And so there used to be a lot of time and energy involved in stalking someone, and with technologies it has become a lot easier.
Technology is great, but it can also be misused by somebody who has the intent to harass you or stalk you as a victim.
I was married for 10 years, and my ex-husband was controlling. He became verbally abusive, and I decided that it was just best to end the marriage. Immediately upon speaking with an attorney, things started happening. He started showing up places where I would go. He seemed to know information about me that he shouldn't have. I took a new job and did not tell him where the location was or who I was working for. And the third day of the start of the new job, he showed up.
Unfortunately, Sherry's example is very typical. Stalking, finding the victim, watching her, controlling her, those are all indicative of abusive, controlling relationships.
And when he was able to appear, even though I hadn't seen him following me somewhere, I started figuring he must have something that's technology related and some way of tracking me, because there's just no way he could know where I'm at, and the timing was perfect.
So we have been hearing for years people calling in and saying, I know this sounds crazy, but every time I move, I go to a shelter, I try to do something, it seems like the perpetrator knows what I'm doing. I feel like people aren't going to be able to believe me.
So it might start out with harassing behavior, and then it becomes scary behavior, and then it becomes victims who are very afraid.
So you intend to cause fear, don't you? Why else would you do what you do? The intent is to intimidate, coerce, cause fear. Mr. Robertson, you've been recorded and recorded and recorded and recorded for well over a year. Get her car, get her kicked out of her house, and get her out of Oklahoma. Get her car, get her kicked out of her house, and get her out of Oklahoma. Over and over and over and over, you and Charles both. It's none of your business where I live. I did not come here to pick a fight with you, sir. You came here to you picked one with me. You went where I was. I didn't know you. Outside of Mr. Perry, you have no, reason to want me dead. And yet, you walked right into my work, same as Pinto, and said, I came here to talk to you for Charles Perry. I'm going to put you in the lake if you don't change your story. Coercion, witness tampering, victim tampering. And in the state of Oklahoma, I have the right to not be harassed. I'm going to assert my rights. Use allegedly, use the but for, apply the but for, and the reasonable person standard, and I assert all constitutional rights that I just have. The First Amendment, Justice Scalia was our First Amendment guy. He voted he ruled flag burning was free speech. So was Justice Ginsburg, by the way. So, when you're asked to leave someone alone, what is your problem that you can't? It's like a tar baby for you. The more you grab at it, the more, the worse things get for you. You're seeing things happen you've not seen before. Taking somebody's money, helping yourself to something that doesn't belong to you is bad manners. Mr. Robertson, don't again interrupt somebody by going, stop, when they don't say what you want to hear. It's rude. It's extremely rude. Mr. Perry, you have reduced yourself to the butt of a dirty joke. That was your choice. You're a grown-ass man. I assert the right to 14th Amendment, equal protection of the laws, violence against women laws, domestic violence laws, stalking, voyeurism, and hacking laws, and Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 1512 and 1513. You don't get to harass me. You don't get to contact me at all. If you choose to do it anyway, and you get caught and told on, that's your problem. I'm not going where you are. I'm not picking a fight with you. I have people protecting me. You should have counted the cost, Mr. Robertson. You do when you do construction. Why not with this too? I didn't come here to pick a fight with you. I came here to get away from one. I uprooted my son and I paid a butt ton of money to move twice and start all over again. Twice. You went at me in Sapulpa, so then that became the third time. I moved from Sapulpa to Manford. And then you went at me in Manford and you killed a cop. And we all know you did. And you could have come out and said, no, we didn't kill the cop. Let's find out who did, though, because we all know you can't kill somebody, end up with not a mark on you when you're asleep because somebody drugged you. Officer Neely was not treated for being knocked out in a fight. He was found unconscious, in respiratory distress, with nothing on him. A red swollen right hand was red and swollen because he had an IV in it. There was a needle stuck in it. So, and he wasn't tested, by the way, till after the Narcan, which changed his blood. When you poisoned me, I wasn't tested at all. You made sure I wasn't. If you hadn't poisoned me, you would have made sure I was tested, so you could run out and do your little drama queen act. See, she lied. I didn't poison her. We tested her blood, and there's nothing in it. But you didn't do that. You made sure there was no test. This is your habit. This is your pattern. Once you see a pattern, you cannot unsee it. Mr. Perry, Mr. Robertson, I did not come here to pick a fight with you. I didn't come here to pick a fight with anybody. I came here to get away from one. You decided to pick a fight with me, not realizing the power I had behind me. You didn't count the cost. And so more than ever in your lives, you're told on and told on and told on. Because I told everybody Officer Neely was drugged. He didn't do it. And by the way, not tested. Full tox panel test until after he was already treated. And now we've lost our evidence. That is a Brady violation. I said it in March 2020. You know what? No depositions had been taken yet until May, 2 months later. They confirmed that. So who's helping me that got that information? Somebody, Mr. Robertson and Mr. Perry that you like bragging to about who you can kill and get away with. See, you guys like running your mouths, you like being braggy, you're arrogant. Sometimes you say the wrong thing to the wrong people. This man came to where I was at my work. You're doing the same thing now with my food delivery, which is even worse because you have to, the only way you could know, I've signed up for Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, all of them. Everyone does. If they're smart, if one's slow, you work for the other one. You can pick any part of town you want to work in. You can pick your hours. So there is no possible way anybody could know when I'm going to work and which company I'm going to work for and which part of town I'm going to work in, but for hacking. So you guys have got recorded all damn day. Have this guy order from Jack in the Box. Has this one order from Buffalo Wings. Have that one order from Chick-fil-A. All fucking day. Okay, so that is stalking and hacking. It is a criminal activity. They just said, more often than not, stalkers now are using technology, especially when you got money like Mr. Perry. Oh, and by the way, our witness tells us he likes to stalk women, find divorced women with kids, put a camera in their home, cause them economic loss, interference, tortious interference. You interfere with commerce and contracts. You like to get women fired, he said. They lose their house because now they can't fulfill the contract to pay the house, Mr. Perry. That's your fault. You're interfering with contracts and commerce. That is not your right. You like to help yourself to things that do not belong to you and get entertained using another person's body, property, and utilities and make a profit. And this time you got caught. Human rights violations is what got this all opened up, sir. Torture, torment, and starvation of women and children. Terrorizing people that want nothing to do with you. That is nothing romantic. There's nothing romantic about it. It is sick as it gets. You got to be a sick, twisted motherfucker to do that to somebody else. Guess what the criminology is? Criminology is the study of why in the fuck would anyone do that to another person? You're the fucking Netflix criminologist special waiting to happen. If you watch Netflix, they got all kinds of serial killer documentaries and FBI profiler documentaries and, forensic psychiatrist documentaries, and all of that is the study of why in the fuck would anyone do that to another person? Because normal people can't think that way, can't bring themselves to do that. So why are you? After I've moved twice, I've spent a lot of money. My child, my little boy, was 14. Well, no, he was 10 when all this started. He's also being peeped on and broadcast all over the internet, and that is child porn. Thanks for that. You owe him some money too. Now he's an adult. Now he's an adult. So when my guys arrest you and seek restitution, they will now seek restitution for an adult who is also a victim of your crime. Our witness says he likes to get these women fired. They lose their house. Then he has the ex take the kids away. And he said, did he do that to Ms. Ortiz? And my guy goes, he had her parents take the oldest one away. We would not allow it on the second one, on the little one. Her parents took her kid away. All of a sudden, she started getting child support, which she wasn't getting before from his dad. That's when they sought custody, and they lied in court, and we know it, and he helped. Charles helped. There is no greater injury to a woman than when you take her kid away. And you knew that. You don't care. You get off on getting women hysterical, he said. His words were, Mr. Perry, ever since I've known him, enjoys making women hysterical so he can go rub one out. And I'm quoting him, Mr. Perry. So this guy, I recorded him. He comes to my work where I am in Oklahoma after I've moved twice to get away from all this crap. Your husband sent me. I don't have a husband. Your husband sent me. No, you got me mixed up with somebody else. What's the girl look like that you want to find? No, you're her. No, I'm not her. I'm not married. The Texas senator. Not my husband. Well, your boyfriend. Not my boyfriend. At this point, I'm standing at the bar, right across from the manager. The bouncer's close by. I could have had him thrown out. I'm going to get my evidence. So I flip on my recorder. It's away from the main room, so it's not quite so loud on the music as it is if you're in the main room. Like in some of the other clubs I've worked at. I'm in a place where I can have the thing sticking out at the end of my purse and he won't see it, and he didn't. He proceeds to solicit prostitution. He came where I was. This is terrorizing to me. Now the person that I have moved twice to get away from, and I'm suing, we're in court at this time, has found out where I'm working and sent a guy to try to talk me into dropping my lawsuit. And in exchange for that, what he wants to do is have me lower myself to being creeped out for $5,000. Mr. Perry, you're creepy. You're disturbing people. That's why it's really easy to get information. Like all day today, when you're talking to people, why don't you order from Buffalo Wings? Why don't you order from Jack in the Box? Why don't you order from Chick-fil-A? Over and all day long. The only way you could know what company I'm working for, which company do you order from? Uber Eats, Grubhub, or DoorDash? Which one? What time? What part of town? Hacking. There's no other way to know. Some days you guys just jam everything up so nothing works and I can't make any money. Usually right around when an important bill is due or I gotta pay something for court, like you're doing right now, we'll notify the court what you did. We'll notify them. You're not gonna fuck with the court anymore. You have 5 seasoned attorneys. Seasoned, not fresh out of college, seasoned attorneys. And you're too scared to let me in a courtroom, face me fair and square. You got to do this underhanded shit where you're fucking with my app so I can't make money. And then you go, oh, we won. No, you did not. You cheated. You did something illegal. You won. Criminal charges about to hit you, but you did not win a court case. You're cowards. You're fucking cowards. Do you know how many people have commented on that? If they had a legitimate claim and she didn't, they'd let her in court. She's not a lawyer. She has no idea what the hell she's doing. 5 attorneys, not just one, 5 of them. Josh Burson has access to the entire Texas Attorney General's office. When I get a brief from him, I got 20 attorney names on there. And you can't do things the legit way, the normal way. You got to get things dismissed with a phone call. And our Mark goes down to the courthouse and makes it rain. So we can say mail wasn't received on time. You got caught on that too, by the way. The DOR was received on time. You intercepted the mail just like you're intercepting my mail where I got money shit coming in. And now I can't get to it because you intercepted it by having it forwarded to your home. Did you go talk to the post people? Yes, last night, Mr. Robertson? And ask, did she come in here and file a complaint? Up there at the airport? You went up there, didn't you, last night? You got caught. You got caught, sir. Do it again, I dare you. Start butting in. Start doing underhanded shit. I didn't pick a fight with you. You picked one with me. When you picked one with me, you picked one with a bunch of guys who can do things like get me the Fabian puzzle in jail. And find out that Mike was drugged 2 months before it ever came out in a deposition. So count your costs before you take on something. You're not fighting with me, you're fighting with them. You're committing a crime. You be careful who you go around telling who, I can kill this guy and that guy got in my way and he just disappeared. I just made him go away. That's what I can do and I can get away with in my state where I live. Right, but when people come to your state and don't pick a fight with you and have no reason to communicate with you or interact with you at all whatsoever, but for you came to me. You threatened me. You posed a threat to me and I have protection. You asked for it. I didn't come up here to pick a fight with TPD. I didn't come up here to pick a fight with anybody at all. I came here to get away from one. I don't like drama. I'm busy. I'm not into soap operas. I'm busy. So this guy offered $5,000 to drop the lawsuit and instead sleep with Perry and be creeped out. He's creepy. What did I say? Where's the one that he says, stop. I'll see if I can find it. I'm not going to spend all day on this. This is the transcripts of that whole conversation. You know, oh, I'll beat him up for you. Yeah, we can't do that. Let me tell you something about that. The Roaches, when Scott Peterson killed Lacey and baby Connor, they said they wanted to kill him. It's in the book. Go get it and read it. We wanted to kill him. Many a victim have said, I wanted to kill him. But there's a thing. They haven't, had they? There's a thing in normal people that you might say, I'd like to kill him. I'm broke. I'd like to go rob a bank. Blah, blah, blah. I'd like to slap the fuck out of you. Well, but there's a thing that we all have, if we're normal, that we all know you can't actually do that. You're making a point that you were that hurt and that angry about what happened, what someone else did to you. Scott killed Lacey and Connor. The Roaches didn't do anything wrong at all. They were victims of crime. They lost a person that they deeply loved and cared about. They lost two people. They have every right to feel like that angry and that hurt, and express it in that way. We all know they don't mean they're really going to go kill him. We all know that because we're not stupid. We all know the Rocha family's not going to really go kill Scott. They're making a point. I was that angry and that hurt about what he did to us, what he took from us. Some of the victims that were interviewed in a Newsweek magazine article about when the Me Too movement started getting to be a big thing, said the same thing. I wanted to kill the guy that was hurt, that was sexually harassing me. I wanted to kill him. That doesn't mean she's going to actually go kill him. The guy's still fine. Not a hair on his head's hurt. She was making a point. I'm that hurt and that angry. But normal people have the thing in your head that you go, we can't actually do that. Get out of stupid land with this. That you can't tell what people mean when they're talking. Everyone else can. Why can't you? People are reading the Newsweek magazine thing and she didn't get arrested. Everyone knows she was making a point. She's not going to go kill the guy. She's just making a point. What is your problem that you can't get it? It is irritating as hell. We ought to explain things over and over. It's not the first time I've explained this, Mr. Perry. You need to get out of stupid land. You know, keep up with everybody else. There are things that's called metaphors, analogies, and something that is meant not to be taken literally. And nobody would take it literally but you. But you're mentally slow. It's irritating to have to deal with you with that. I mean, come on with this. The other thing he says is, you could ruin him politically. And I'm like, I don't give a shit about that. You know what I want? I want for him to leave me the fuck alone. Had you done that, you wouldn't have so much to cover up now, would you? He does the stop. Let me see if I can find it here. That is telltale David Robertson right there. Anytime somebody says that to me, I'm like, David told him to say that. This guy's been talking to David Robertson. That's what he does. Very rudely. In the middle of a sentence. God, did the middle of my sentence interrupt the beginning of yours? Get some fucking manners with that. Stop. No. Let me finish what I was saying, rude. That's if anybody says that, then you know, boom, that guy's been talking to David Robertson, or he wouldn't say that like that. That is David Robertson 101 right there. What does this say, Mr. Perry? What words do I use to make him leave me the fuck alone? And she's telling me, you ignore him as much as you can, but sometimes what you've got with Charles is he'll escalate more than you can ignore. Like causing me financial loss, jamming up my app so I can't work. Or sending guys like Pinto into my work so I'm too afraid to fucking go. $5,000 worth at Lady Godiva's. You tried to kill me in there. I didn't get tested. I did get a text when I said, is it arsenic or phenobarbital? I got a text back that said yes. I was getting sick. I went and bought charcoal so that it would absorb the toxins in my body and not kill me. You know, later, I was talking to one of the guys that Robertson sent in, tells me, if you drink the arsenic, it'll build up an immunity in your body, and then you won't die from it. And I'm like, really? Okay, I'm not a chemist, I don't know. Later, not that I have other resources that let me know that was bullshit, but later, somebody else that does lab work came and got a lap dance from me, and I asked him about it, and he goes, I'm going to tell you something right now. Arsenic will not build up an immunity in your system. If they were telling you that, they intended for you to take it voluntarily, and it will kill you dead. And they knew that. That was intent to murder you. That they were trying to mislead you into thinking that if you drink it voluntarily, thinking that it's going to build up an immunity in your system, they lied to you to try to get you to coerce you to do that, because they intended to murder you. So, yeah, it's going to scare me to go to work. That's interfering with a contract. It's stalking, harassment, terrorization. And you guys got caught this time. You got caught this time because you fucked with people that are more powerful than you are. And I've asked you to leave me alone, Mr. Perry. You see this? August 23rd, 2019. We're going to have her car towed and sold. Even though it's not legal. But we'll do it before she figures that out. I've heard recently, you've already got my car sold. You haven't towed it yet. You were trying to. More than once you've tried to. And you got caught every time you tried to, didn't you, Robertson? I got to get her car away from her. I got to get her kicked out of her house. I got to get her out of Oklahoma. Because she keeps catching my crime. Try leaving me alone. Things will go a whole lot better for y'all if you'll get the fuck out of my life. Leave me alone. What does that say? I don't want a big scandal. I want him to leave me the fuck alone. 2014. I was in Dallas at this time. You know what I was pissed off about? If you read the rest of that email, ask Michael Quinn Sullivan for the rest of it. I'm not giving it to you. He's got it. You are butting in between me and Fabian, which is not your business. You like helping yourself to things that don't belong to you. Get your hands out of my wallet. What is this, Mr. Perry? Oh, God, oh, look. It's against the law to stalk somebody and to intentionally cause them fear and duress. What do you think that did? I saw her walking across the parking lot one day. She goes, I've lived here 10 years. We've never had traffic like this. People pulling up, taking pictures of people. That's menacing. She's walking across the parking lot one day and a car pulls in. She tensed up, turns around, looks at me and looked horrified, terrorized. There were kids there. Little kids. And she's like, I've called Lucky 3 times and asked him to patrol the parking lot and get these people out of here. And then he came over right before his murder. He came over for a death investigation, and she's not asking me about talking to him. She's not coming to me and go, would you like me to call the police? She never asked me. It was bothering her. If I was doing something wrong, you'd have had a picture of it. You call them. The owner tells me, Lucky comes over to see if you're, he tells me he got a call in that you're committing prostitution. And I go, oh my God. And he goes, we told him we don't see any men coming in and out of your room. And I go, imaginary men? I'm driving my imaginary BMW here. Yeah, they got guys pulling up here. Everybody's complained about it. They're taking pictures of me, looking for a problem. If I was a prostitute, they'd have pictures of it. I'm not. He goes, that's what we told them. So right before his murder, he's doing a death investigation that happened over there. And Laura went in and said, Lucky, we got to take this seriously. She's in danger. I mean, there's traffic coming up here. I mean, it is uncomfortable for us. We got kids here. And he goes, I can't do anything without a tag. You got to get me a tag. And then he was killed. Well, we had the car vandalism, kind of like the Jodi Arias case. Travis Alexander had his tires slashed. I had car vandalism. I had a lot of car vandalism, not just one incident. It's just I didn't report some of them because, again, like I said, what are they supposed to do? I call the man for Patino, and somebody put a hole in my radiator hose. Somebody drained my oil out. I can't prove. I don't know who did it. I don't know who did it. Probably my stalker. But he doesn't have surveillance cameras around here, so I can't prove it. Then what do? What the fuck are they supposed to do? When I had the vandalism in the trunk and it finally built up, there was like 20 different things that happened. Taillights were taken out. I finally was like, I'm going to have to report this, have them investigate it. If it's determined that it is Charles and Dave, since Dave's got his people right next to me, his employees, then I can get a protective order because we are in court right now. That's what I told Mr. Neely. I said, I'm going to tell you something. The reason I believe it's them is they always get a key to my car, and there's no signs of forced entry here. I said, they'll pay you. He goes, oh, I see. We had taken him over, and I was showing him the pictures of the room that had the same powder all over it. It was all in the back of my trunk. So I had a little bit more on that one to go with than I had the other ones. After you threatened specifically my car. Now, in 2 situations, we had vandalism of a vehicle, and the next escalation was murder. First-degree murder. For her, it was the victim. For me, it was the cops trying to help me. What are the chances that it wasn't just any cops anywhere at any time? It was those cops at that time, 6 days later. 6 days after I reported the vandalism. Okay, so you are making people uncomfortable. She tensed up when that one car comes through, parked right there. Took pictures of me all the time. On the night that the brick hit my car, could have hit me in the head. I think that was the intent. There was one parked on the other side. That was Perry's guy. So I went out where he is. I left out that way to the left, and it delayed me about 2 to 3 minutes. Otherwise, it would have hit me in the head. It totaled my car. So that was the other reason I went ahead and called. There are 2 reasons. One is I just had a car totaled from these guys throwing a brick at me on the freeway. They had a guy sitting right here to call down the road to tell him I'm coming. Very dangerous people. These people are dangerous. It totaled my car. It hit the pavement and bounced up and cracked my engine in 2. It was totaled. This is the new car. They're already in it. They're getting the key from somewhere. Probably paying the dealer a little something. I understand you already have my car I have now. You already got it sold. Is that true? My car is not your car. You don't help yourself to stuff that doesn't belong to you. You don't go into court and commit fraud and then procure property with fraud, David. That makes 1 crime 2. This time you're getting caught. And I didn't pick the fight. You did. I don't know you. I don't work in road construction. I have no reason to interact with you. And when I got that car, you guys were recorded telling somebody she wants a new apartment and a new car. There's not going to be a new apartment and a new car. I threw a fit. So you didn't really have much of a choice. I got the new apartment and the new car. And I guess it was Burson told somebody up here. She can't complain that she didn't get the new apartment and the new car. She got it. And the guy goes, do you have any idea what she had to go through to get that? And I promise you, watch this. As soon as she gets it, he'll start trying to take it away. He's a fucking asshole. He's hated up here. He's hated up here. All of them are. We're all tired of the hardship. We're all tired of the imposition and the burden. It's like dealing with cancer. People don't wake up and go, oh yeah, I have cancer. It's going to kill me. So what's the difference between that and you? You smell bad. You're destructive. You're killing. And we're tired of it. We want you gone. This happened in Lubbock. This is one of the reasons I left Lubbock. I'm going to a restaurant. Didn't invite Charles. Here comes his little assistant, his little staffer, Catherine. Has the whole restaurant to sit in, but no, she sits right next to us every Wednesday. We started getting uncomfortable. I tell Cheryl one night, meet me at Starbucks when we're done here. I don't want to talk to her. She can hear. So we left. We went to Starbucks, and I said, he's hacked me. Because she shows up every Wednesday. I've never invited Charles. I've never told him I'm coming here. I haven't talked to him. So why is she here every Wednesday? Sitting right there next to us. And she goes, yeah, that is really weird. Then one night I had to run errands. I didn't go. And I forgot my phone at home. Which means he should think I'm at home if he's hacked my phone. He went to Carino's looking for me, and she called me and told me about it. She called me and told me about it. He just walked in, shot me a dirty look, and left. He wasn't eating. He was looking for you. Where were you, by the way? I was running errands. I forgot my phone at home. The only way he could know I left, cameras. Otherwise, he's going to think I'm at home. Even if he's hacked my phone. He shouldn't know anything about anything, right? If he's not a stalker. But he is a stalker. Just like the video said. All of a sudden, they start showing up. How did they find out? I didn't call them and tell them. Hacking your phone. So, and that'll also, you know, if somebody's making money with an app and you jam it up and now they can't make any money, or you got your people and you're limiting the money, yeah, illegal. Interference with contracts, sir. Interference with commerce, sir, is illegal. And you're using technology to do it. That's a whole different thing. Makes it a lot worse for you.
Do you want to make big money online right now today? Do affiliate marketing. That's right, affiliate.
Impact their responses.
If you just go one time and look.
Despite the danger and pervasiveness of stalking, it is a crime that is underreported. Some victims do not know a crime has occurred. Some believe that reporting to law enforcement will not stop the stalking. And unfortunately, the last belief is not unfounded. In most cases, reporting stalking to law enforcement does not stop the behavior due to the high rates of reoffending among stalkers. The first interaction between law enforcement and the victim is a critical encounter. It can help determine whether the victim will continue to work with the criminal justice system or seek additional resources. To understand the crucial steps in recognizing and responding to stalking, we'll hear from various arms of the criminal justice system. I will venture a bet that in every community, large or small in this country, there is far more stalking going on than we are at all aware of.
Law enforcement have to be well trained so that they listen to indicators of stalking, they follow up with appropriate questions, they recognize that victims of stalking are experiencing trauma and that may impact their responses.
If you just go one time and look at one event, you don't have stalking. Instead, you have to look at the history. What else has been going on here? What is the precursors to what happened tonight?
Basically, understanding dynamics of what constitutes stalking, understanding dynamics of what is going on in the victim's life.
In and of itself, many of the behaviors that are going to occur with stalking, we need to understand and recognize are in and of themselves not criminal.
The conduct itself may seem benign without the context of the victim and the victim living it.
Key and foremost is listening. We have to create a connection, a bond with that victim so that we can understand from their perspective what that situation is.
There are common acts that stalkers engage in. The types of things that stalkers do, they almost do universally. Recognize that that's the type of behavior that a stalker would engage in, and then ask the appropriate questions. Oftentimes, a stalker will start with the type of approach that is designed to elicit a positive response from the victim. I want the victim to be in my control. I want the victim to engage with me. Now he's sitting outside in the parking lot while, she's inside the house, or he's outside her window taking pictures of her through her bedroom window on his phone, and those things that are very obviously criminal. But then we want to back up and we want to take the time to look at, well, what was happening before that? Because that strengthens our stalking investigation.
We need to take the criminal act that has occurred and understand our state laws so that when a person is talking to us and they begin to give us elements of stalking, that we connect the dots, that we put it together, and that we don't only charge for the criminal act that we may be initially responding to, but we also charge for stalking.
There's often an intersection between stalking and other crimes, whether they're property crimes, whether they're are crimes of a sexual nature, whether they're domestic violence crimes, that there's often other crimes that are occurring while that stalking behavior is being perpetrated.
We have to begin to look at the totality of the circumstances. And in collecting, investigating, and corroborating the range of kind of experiences of that victim, we can now piece together a total picture that ultimately speaks to the real implications of this crime.
It was a breakup, then it was text messages, then it was emails because she blocked his text messages. He switched to emails, blocked his emails, he switched to social media, blocked his social media. Now he's following her, he's looking for her, he found her, he leaves the cards, he leaves the flowers. And then we have to make that leap to, well, now her tires have been slashed, or now her, windshield's been broken in.
Connecting, thinking about context, asking questions that brings that out in victims will help us automatically create a deeper bond and a partnership that can result in success.
One of the things that's really unique about stalking is it does vary greatly from state to state.
It becomes important to recognize the laws, what the elements of the crime of stalking is in your community.
We have to establish that the element that some type of fear has occurred. You have to make sure that you include in your report the fear that this victim sensed, or the intimidation, or the harassment, and you have to make sure that you put that in your report very descriptively so that we can ensure good prosecution.
Because fear and...
If I'm too afraid to go to work and I'm willing to pay $5,000 to avoid going to work, which is a necessity to pay my bills, whether it be food delivery or dancing or whatever it is I'm doing, political consulting, then I'm afraid. Dr. Russell had in her letter, she's afraid. That's been made clear. You did that on purpose. That is the intent, is it not? You were told to leave me the fuck alone, weren't you? Why can't you control yourself? Why can't you just go be normal? You taking my mail? Economic abuse is a component of domestic violence, stalking. Grand larceny with intent to coerce, my guy calls it. Harassment of my witness, the act of harassment is grand larceny with intent to coerce. We're going to starve her into a lie. That ship sailed. I made sure of that. I'm not going to lie for you. I want to help stop you. You're causing suffering and hardship and everybody's sick of it.
Substantial emotional distress, elements of stalking are so subjective. It's often law enforcement's responsibility and role to be able to extract that from a victim with a good interview and with good follow-up questions. So if somebody comes forward and reports to law enforcement, my car got damaged, my tires got slashed, somebody keyed my car, they keyed a swear word into the side of my car. Law enforcement needs to recognize that that's the type of behavior that a stalker would engage in and then ask the appropriate questions. Do you have anybody that you're currently having problems with? Is there anyone that you've tried to end contact with?
Has the person that is stalking you been subject to a protection order or some other restrictive order issued by the courts? Any other behaviors transpired prior to?
11 times I have tried to get either an injunctive order or a protective order. The first time I didn't ask for money. Just, please, judge, make the guy leave me alone. I forgot the required police report. And so, the next time I filed one, you had me arrested for filing a false police report before any determination had been made. You destroyed my evidence, blood and hair to test for arsenic poisoning, and a video showing everything that happened at my work the night that I have described an escalation in my report, where I can sit down with a cop, a detective, and say, here's what happened, detective, look at the video, and we go over it, and they can see why I was scared. 2 of my customers complained, that guy is stalking you, and it's making me uncomfortable. I'm a customer. He complained to the waitress blew it off. I went back and told Mr. Chadwick, she just pissed off customers. They're complaining about Mr. Robertson's unwanted, weird, creepy conduct. The customers are complaining, and they said, what are they going to do? Wait till he blows her head off and then do something? That's what they told the waitress. What are you guys going to do? Wait till he blows our head off, then do something? $5,000. That's a little bit of fear, don't you think? You have to go to work to meet your needs, to pay your bills, to maintain contractual obligations, Mr. Perry, Mr. Robertson. No one is picking a fight with you. You're picking one with me. Stalking, Mr. Perry, is a crime. I don't like you. You disgust me. I've made that very, very clear. You disgust every bone in my body. You make me want to throw up. I'm not in love with you. You make my skin crawl. Get out of delusion land. Tell yourself the truth. Deal with reality. Because you look ridiculous. You've reduced yourself to the butt of a dirty joke, sir. I wanted nothing to do with you. You're not the wanted one. You're always going to be a stalker wannabe. But right now, you guys keep getting caught and told on because you're pissing everybody off. We're all tired of the suffering. We're all tired of the hardship. Everybody is. It's not that hard to get information.
That they've never reported.
And those are exactly the kind of things that either may be lost when they initially come to report the crime and nobody writes it down, and so they may walk away thinking that what they've just reported doesn't matter.
The officers that are responding to it need to ensure that they absorb all that information and then report it.
I want our sergeants and I want our lieutenants.
Now, I'm going to tell you something. I went to Tulsa Police twice. Twice I went in with evidence. This is what's been happening to me for 10 years. You know what 2 officers told me? We don't take the evidence. We don't look at it here. I had to get it to the city attorney, Jerry Bender. Both times. One time was over the police report. The second time was over a car accident. I wasn't in the car. The car was in the parking lot. Somebody hit it and took off. Again, Mr. Perry was threatening my car specifically. So what I told the officer was, this is just a car accident, but it might be stalker related. And it also might have something to do with Michael Neely's murder trial. They don't want me to go to Manford for the 4th of July and talk to them. Actually didn't have any plans for that, but they thought I did, apparently. It may not be related at all, or it might be. Here's the background on it. We don't take that evidence here. Wow. What? I was raised by 4 generations of police. You take the evidence. Who the fuck does that? We don't take evidence and look at it here. I said, my attorney said to give it to you. She goes, you need to tell your attorney we don't take that here. And I shoved it up under the glass and said, today it is, and turned around and walked out. How pathetic. You also gave my police report right over to the offender on the other one. The poisoning. Who did that? You know who looked at everything very carefully, like they're telling you you should do? Michael Neely and Brett Gibson in Manford. So, is that why you killed the chief? You know, they were talking about Jeff Epstein's crime right before the murder. Voyeurism, selling women online on the dark web where everybody in the world could see it, Mr. Perry, is similar. But Jeff just put cameras in his own home, and it made everybody mad when they found out about it. So how much worse is it that you help yourself to somebody else's home, get a key, pay the landlord, the maintenance guy, or locksmith a little something, and get a key to my car and my home without my consent? You don't have a right to do that, sir. It is against the law. It's illegal because people don't like it when you do that, and when you do things people don't like, they don't like you, and they talk. They start telling on you. Everybody wants you stopped. We're sick of it. You picked the fight. I didn't. I left.
Be looking at these reports and ensuring that when they read the elements or the description of that crime, did we miss stalking or potentially miss stalking?
When responding to a crime and you begin to believe that stalking has occurred, then you begin to conduct your threat assessment.
We need to make sure that we're thinking about their safety as a key and critical component of our first response.
So when we're talking with victims of stalking, we want to be looking for things that tell us that this particular perpetrator at this particular time is higher risk.
LAPD has a threat management unit to handle stalking cases so they don't end up with a dead body. Jodi Arias did car vandalism, and the next step in it was murder. They've tried to kill me twice, at least that we know of. The brick and the arsenic. There's been other times they were recorded talking about it, but my guys tell me don't go to work tonight. Again, I've lost money. Economic abuse. What kind of idiots do that shit to women?
If there has been, phone calls, and then he's sitting outside of her house, that tells us there's a spike in his ability to have direct contact with her. Once you have that escalation, you can see that this pattern is increasing in severity and frequency.
The officer should also conduct and looking into the perpetrator. Number one risk factor for lethality is going to be their protection. Number one risk factor for lethality is going to be their protection order. And not only just a protection order, but have they had violations of protection orders?
A protective order gets filed, or there's something that he gets a notice to stay away from her workplace, or there's some type of additional action that happens, that risk might change.
And we know that primarily based on the studies and based on my understanding of stalking over the last 10 years, that majority of stalkers are intimate partners or ex-spouses.
So some of the things we want to be looking for are particularly offenders where there is prior physical violence. So someone who is an intimate partner with their victim in the past and there has been violence in that relationship.
Not only can the information from these threat and risk assessments help inform us, but it can help inform the entire system, advocates, prosecutors, the courts.
And when we're working with stalking victims, because it is a longer investigation, we have to reevaluate their risk throughout that process.
If you don't have a threat assessment in your jurisdiction, then refer them to the persons that would do that, such as your victim advocates.
You want to make sure that the victim has a safety plan and that it is being assessed with someone who is there particularly to support this victim.
Stalkers pose a risk to people's safety, period. And if a victim is not told that, if they're not told this is potentially dangerous, they may not partner with law enforcement long term.
We need victims to understand the reality of what we may require of them, and that we need to help build a partnership with them. Because many of these cases may require their ongoing engagement and involvement in order to be successful.
It's really important when asking victims to chronicle events that are occurring in their lives to constitute.
That's what this is, Judge Parker or whoever. This is to chronicle events as they occur. Because we can't wait until after he does it and then say something. We got to say something beforehand, do we not? He's hacked my phone or cloned it. So actually, if you check my phone, there's not going to be a fucking thing on it. It's going to be on his phone. He cloned it, I'm told. He can do anything from my phone that I can do. He can track everywhere I go. That would explain some strange lady asking me exactly what my hair color is, what brand, what color. Very, very specific she wanted, because Mr. Perry needs a lie. Let's do a false arrest again, because I need to announce my candidacy. We found a crime with a girl committed that looks kind of like Cynthia, only she's heavier, quite a bit heavier, we understand. And the hair color is a little darker, and her skin is too. So let's get her in the tanning salon. Let's find out what hair color she has so we can have the other girl dye her hair. It's a stalking event. Right? Same as the first false arrest. That you threatened and threatened and threatened and threatened. And you've been threatening it ever since because you fucked that one up. You didn't get the evidence. You caused me to lose it. Then you have a shrink go, well, she might be delusional. Except the one here that saw me for a year and a half didn't say that, did she? She said what you've got with Charles is sometimes he escalates more than you can ignore. Because really what you'd like to do is just ignore him. He'll poke and poke and poke and poke and poke until you finally have to pay attention. Like when they vandalize your car, now you got an expense. Now you got to. Now you don't have any money. Now you got to figure out that you got to pay attention to the problem. You got to fix the problem. It's very, very expensive to be a victim of crime. Very expensive. And if I've tried 11 times to get a protective order or an injunctive order, one of those times was with Pinto. There should have been a hearing. Guess what? There wasn't. A lot of times, Mr. Perry, there should be hearings and there's not. Or there's ex parte hearings where I'm not there. That's starting to catch people's attention. And if it happens once, okay, you can maybe explain that. But when it happens over and over and over and over, and then you got judicial decisions that do not make sense because you went down and made it rain at the courthouse, you're going to have to explain all that in our case, whether TPD does something or not. Mr. Perry, listen to the words I'm saying. You're not getting it, sir. When in your life has your crime been caught this much? When in your life has your crime been caught this much? You need to remember who it is you're talking to when you start threatening me, sir. So 11 times, 5 attorneys, they won't let me in court. I'm not a lawyer. And yet I've yet to go into court and testify. I've yet to go into court. The first time I went into court and testified, Mr. Perry's motion to dismiss was denied. But there should have been an immediate injunctive order when I put that on the docket and asked for another look at an injunctive order. Likely to occur again. Well, it did occur again. And I'm scared to go to work. How did he know I was even there, Mr. Perry? But for stalking, hacking, and voyeurism. These guys you would send to my work, the hacking you do with my apps for food delivery, there's no possible way you could know what I was going to do without being a stalker, without being a hacker and a voyeur. To send Pinto in, to send Robertson in, to send Wagner in, to send Mickey James in, to tell me it might be worth the risk if he kills you, to have the suspicion that we saw with Gary Condit and Chandra Levy, which I was able to get him to text again the next day and tell me he signed an NDA and he's been watching from behind the scenes. I didn't know that guy. You know him. You sent him in. But how did you know where I was but for voyeurism, stalking, and how would you know I was going to work unless you watched me getting ready because you got cameras in my home? That's what Lucky and Mike were talking about. Epstein. We got an Epstein crime. Mike Neely. I said I took pictures of this room over here that had the power all over it. She's already cleaned it, but I got pictures. He goes, let's go look. He didn't say, we don't look at evidence here at this police department. He said, let's go look. We went and looked at the room, and I showed him the pictures. He looked very carefully. Jerry Ridley came by, and I said, I have some pictures for you. Because at the time, when I talked to Mr. Neely, Officer Neely, I just showed him on my phone. So I went and had him printed up. And he goes, absolutely, sure. He didn't say, oh, we don't take evidence here. A police determination needed to be made as to whether that was some random guy or a stalker related. And I said, chances are high it's stalker related. I'm obligated to tell them of my situation. That's what they're talking about here. This is how you do law enforcement, TPD.
Stalking is that we also ensure they preserve whatever evidence they've already received.
Oh, look. We got to preserve evidence, Mr. Powell. Video. Blood and hair. In case it's attempted murder. Or assault with a deadly weapon. What? Who knew? Country bumpkin. Corrupt. Which one is it?
Such as text messages, unwanted phone calls, things that are sent via email, photographs.
The first opportunity you have to capture that evidence, capture it. Don't tell a victim, we'll go down to station tomorrow and have your phone photographed. No, photograph it right now. You're here with her now. Photograph it now.
You will probably then document that report. After you've received all evidence that you can on scene, then I would like to leave the victim with a log. And this is for future occurrences, things that may occur after the fact.
That may be things like logging.
So, okay, the blogging is to keep track of what you're doing to me here in Oklahoma. That is to document. So is this. Nobody intends to harass you. Now, you might be being rebuffed. I've been as mean as I could be to send the message, I don't like you. Your attention isn't wanted. There's nothing romantic here. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong is you're coming to Oklahoma where I live after I've moved twice to get away from you. You're sending people where I work to threaten my life. It's a crime. It's a crime in all 50. You caused me to lose my evidence, and you did that on purpose. That violates 1512 and 1513 of Title 18, Mr. Perry. It's racketeering and fraud. It's racketeering. It's the RICO Act. Witness tampering, prevented and delayed by physical force the reporting of your crime, and the proper collection of the evidence, Mr. Perry. When in your life has your crime been caught this much? You were told to leave me the fuck alone. How would you know where I was working? You know, we had the guy that said, I have 3 people in my office. Go, how did they even know she was in Manford? We're not stalking her. That's the allegation, is it not? Stalking? We didn't have any idea that's where she was. How did they? I thought he said they're not stalking. It looks like to me they are. If he knew that's where she was. Did you guys call them all the time? They complained about it? We have real crimes to solve. We don't have time to take your phone calls asking us to look into prostitution, and there's nothing there. And you knew that. You're wasting our time. So it became, they said they wanted to get her on harassment. Well, the thing is, she never called us. 6 days before Chief Miller was murdered, I did. But before that, I didn't call at all. She never called us. So they're calling fucking every day. Try to get her on this, try to get her on that, try to get her on this, try to get her on that. Became pretty clear to us for early on, they're doing the harassing, not her. She's doing everything she can to get away, to fight them off of her. Get her privacy back. Get her life back. Not have money problems all the time. Lucky told me you showed him a forged marriage license. And he asked me if I signed it. And I said, oh, hell no. I won't even take a phone call. Much less do something like that. That's insane. He goes, yeah, I thought that, I didn't think that looked like your signature. So there is such a document floating around. Pinto said, your husband sent me. Where'd he get that idea? You're just a stalker. You're rejected. There's nothing there. 12 years. You're rejected. I've said no. I mean no. Mr. Perry, I said no. You're forcing yourself on me against my will. I don't like you. You do cause fear. You have tried to kill me. Twice. At least twice that we know of. So, what's wrong with you that you would do that? That's what the study of criminology is. Why in the hell would anyone do that to another person? Terrorize like that. Something wrong with you, sir. You have a wife. Jacqueline, Jordan, Matthew, where are they when you sit around betraying them and their trust? It costs no money and no time to leave somebody alone. I've gone to great lengths to get away from you and not have a fight. Or a scandal. I didn't tell anybody until after I was in Oklahoma. But for a few close friends. And the reason I said, if you read my Facebook messages, is in case he does something to me, I got to tell somebody I might be in danger here. He's pulling up behind my house and watching me in my backyard. He threatened to ruin my business. There was nothing political discussed ever. You don't have a text. You don't have an email. And when I'm pissed about something, you're going to know about it. You got to change this law. It's wrong. Blah, blah, blah. Here's why. I didn't work on Texas legislation, Mr. Perry, and you didn't matter. You were the new guy. I was in politics all my life. I had 100 people I was already working with before you ever popped out, crawled out from your rock. I didn't need you. I had other people I was already working with. Didn't do Texas legislation. I helped you get elected. I held a fundraiser for you and John. I didn't live in your district. If you were asked for help on anything at all, it was out of courtesy. Not because I needed you. One guy can't do shit. You have the smallest district in the whole state. One of them. 3%. 86% Republican. You can't flip that district. It's 86% pro-life. So if I were pro-choice, for example, if you're pro-choice, you don't get elected in that district. So you made the claim. Now you prove it. Put up or shut up. You lied in court. Did you imagine it or did you just lie? Mr. Perry, did you imagine it or did you just lie? Everybody's wondering. Still. Answer the question. Why won't you let me in court? Why won't you face me in court like a man? 11 times you paid a judge to deny me something that is my legal right. A protective order against you. 11 times.
Number of calls they received, logging the number of times that offender drives past their home or blows the horn or does whatever it may be. We need to help victims understand the key and critical importance of...
He just said blog it. What's happening to you? He just said it. Blog it. To document. Blog every time the guy blows past you. That's what he just said. This is law enforcement, TPD.
Securing all digital evidence that helps build and
pose a risk to people's safety, period. And if a victim is not told that, if they're not told this is potentially dangerous, they may not partner with law enforcement long term.
We need victims to understand the reality of what we may require of them, and that we need to help build a partnership with them. Because many of these cases may require their ongoing engagement and involvement in order to be successful.
It's really important when asking victims to chronicle events that occur in their lives to constitute stalking, is that we also ensure that they preserve whatever evidence they've already received, such as text messages, unwanted phone calls, things that are sent via email, photographs.
The first opportunity you have to capture that evidence, capture it. Don't tell a victim, well, go down to station tomorrow and have your phone photographed. No, photograph it right now. You're here with her now. Photograph it now.
You will probably then document that report. After you've received all evidence that you can on scene, then I would like to leave the victim with a log. And this is for future occurrences, things that may occur after the fact.
That may be things like logging the number of calls they receive, logging the number of times that offender drives past their home or blows the horn or does whatever it may be. We need to help victims understand the key and critical importance of securing all digital evidence that helps build and support our case and our investigation.
Just taking a screenshot, emailing it to yourself, just making sure that it's captured in more than one means, so that if a device gets damaged for some reason, you still have that backup.
And I think that it's very understandable to just want to erase it and just be done with it.
Get a victim to understand it's all important. It's all important. Don't leave any of it out for me. Oftentimes, victims will negotiate with their stalkers, and then they'll sanitize that because they don't want you to be upset as a police officer. So getting that relationship with a victim to the point where they understand you're not judging them, you're not criticizing them.
The trust in the relationship is incredibly important, also because things will happen during the delay of a trial. Additional evidence or additional activity may come up that can be added to the charges or will be the basis for new charges.
What becomes imperative is that when we have cases that cross our jurisdictional boundaries, that we reach out to whomever in that other agency is going to help us to effectively respond to this case, because it may require a co-investigation.
Law enforcement usually stops at that boundary, but I'll tell you right now, the stalker doesn't.
But one of the things that happens a lot is that people commit crimes of stalking in other jurisdictions, and they primarily do the same things. This is that type of crime that just cannot get washed if we don't work together with other jurisdictions.
Being able to communicate easily with our partners across the United States and sometimes globally is very important to be able to effectively doing these cases. Everyone's experience is an opportunity to communicate and to teach one another, to help, raise each other's capacity about topics that are very relevant to the effective investigation and prosecution of stalking.
We know that sometimes prosecutors will administrative release or drop cases, and the only way law enforcement can find out how or why is to go and have that conversation with our prosecutors. That conversation is so vitally important.
We need to understand what it is that they seek from us in our investigation, what they believe constitutes a full and complete investigation.
It may be an opportunity for law enforcement to educate the prosecutor into how evidence is gathered and maintained and the different parts of the procedure.
When you're all on the same page, a lot more of the information is going to come around and around and around, and it's going to make a stronger case.
becomes important that we know what the available resources are in our communities.
The partnership between officers and victim advocates is vitally important because eventually our victims are going to go to them and they're going to receive information from the victims that may aid us additionally down the road in our investigation.
And they can also just provide key and important help in developing a good, sound, solid safety plan, which we know is immensely important for many of these victims and their ongoing involvement with our cases.
You start partnering with them more often, what you realize is it's the right thing to do for a victim. Partnering with victim services is the right thing to do for a victim. Because there are things...
TPD, partnering with the victim, not the offender, by giving him the police report. Before you'd collected any evidence, before you had preserved any evidence properly, I was told, we'll take your report, put it in the computer, assign a detective, and that person will call you back. Before I got a call back, I'm prevented and delayed by physical force from a fraud on a court. And I lost my evidence because you gave the offender my report. You're partnering, law enforcement is partnering with the victim to solve the crime, not covering it up.
That a victim will need that law enforcement can't provide.
In the agency where I come from, we had to make sure that we communicated that this was an important crime for our officers to investigate.
And it lets stalkers know we're not going to let this happen in our community, that we take this very serious, that we have a victim-based response, that we intend to hold offenders accountable.
Where policies and protocols don't exist, we still have to make sure we're acting. We can't have inaction while we're waiting for the perfect law, the perfect protocol, the perfect policy. We need to implement what we have now.
Training law enforcement to recognize what stalking is, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it smells like, so that when they're out in the field and they're having contact with victims, it's not the victim's job to recognize that this is a stalking crime. Stalking is a crime.
We have to be willing to go back and look at what we did well and the times when perhaps our response did not rise to the level it should have.
Just continuing to educate yourself on this crime. It is always evolving, and making sure that you're up to speed on everything, on the legal investigative issues that you need to have.
It's in your community. It's absolutely in your community. And if you haven't been trained to look for it, to recognize how prevalent it is, and identify the signs of it, you're going to miss it.
With regard to the crime of stalking, it becomes important that we are not part of the problem that results in the continuation of this very serious and insidious crime that's affecting many in our communities.
That's how you do law enforcement, TPD. Mike got it right. Mike Neely got it right. And we have a dead chief of police. And we have a almost dead framed Mike, fraud. Again, there was a hearing. There was no hearing. I was not in that courtroom to tell them he was drugged. I know he didn't do it. He was trying to help me. The guys that he was investigating did this. I know that. Let me tell you why I know that. I didn't get to do that. I tried. I took it so far as to file a motion to intervene. Not very many people do that. Take that initiative. I did. There should have been a hearing to see if I had standing. There was nothing. There's too many inappropriate court proceedings, Mr. Perry. Everybody's starting to notice it. You're not fooling anybody. If you think you are, I think you're being fooled. If people are telling you, they believe you, they're full of shit. At this point, there's too many incidents of the same fucking thing. I know that you believe, truly, with everything in you, that everybody's as dumb as you, and they're not. They really aren't. You need to get a grip on reality. So, I contact because they were trying to make it like I'm delusional, and I'm thinking we might go to trial, because I'm not going to just bend over. I said, I need to have when I say bend over, I mean, I'm not going to kiss the guy's feet. I don't want to be accused of lewd and lascivious. I'm not going to just kiss his feet or kiss his ring and do whatever he said. I'm fighting the guy. I'm not going to live like this. He's done a lot more than just this to just me. We're putting a stop to it. Putting a stop to it. That's all there is to it. I didn't pick the fight. You did. I left. That's all there. That should have been the end of it. So I call a shrink up here because my shrink, Dr. Russell, said, I'm here to treat your post-traumatic stress from going through this false arrest thing and almost getting killed. So I can't do an evaluation for court and testify on the delusion. She explains that in her letter. And you're going to have to find a different guy. So I called a different guy. And I said, I got to have you, I guess, an evaluation for delusion. Because these two shrinks in Lubbock, I passed competency. I was only tested for mental competency. Nothing else. And so they're recommending further testing. So I'd like to have further testing. But I don't trust either one of them. They haven't seen my evidence. They're making a call before they've seen it. And he said, okay, well, what evidence do you have? Well, my police report says a video and text. There's also blood and hair that I didn't want to put in the report because I was afraid Mr. Perry would do exactly what he did. I was afraid that would scare him to the point where he would do exactly what he did, and I didn't even put that in. But I figured when I talked to the detective, I would tell him, I've been poisoned. I need a blood test. So he said, well, they destroyed your evidence? I said, yes. And he goes, well, in order to diagnose you with delusion, I have to look at the video. I have to see the blood test. And then I have to say that you're seeing things I'm not seeing. So if they destroyed your evidence, that tells me you're probably not delusional. They didn't want it seen. They destroyed it. Destruction of evidence is in and of itself evidence, Mr. Perry. You're not actually covering anything up at all. You look guilty. It's an act showing consciousness of guilt. And in that case, you can't use the defense of insanity because you showed guilt. You knew it was a crime. You tried to cover it up. This is her letter where she explains, I can't do the actual testifying that you're not delusional or all that. There has to be this big test given. It takes hours, and it has to go through somebody besides me. I'm just here to treat you. This, at the end of it, she says I'm intelligent, articulate, and honest, but I'm scared to death. And I don't like him butting into my things in my life, interfering. Contracts, work. Work is a necessity. You have to go. You got to make money to pay your bills, to fulfill the terms of contracts that you signed. Rent, banking, car, whatever, credit cards, whatever you decide that you're gonna agree to do something, pay somebody for some service, electric bills, so forth. When you interfere with my money, you send guys like Pinto in, and then I'm too scared to go to work and I have to pay $5,000 in no-show fines. It's $5,000 that cost me in no-show fines plus whatever I would have made that night. Well, I wouldn't have had to pay it. Had I gone to work, I would have come home with $400. So that's how much money that cost me. Not going to work because I'm too afraid. You don't have the right to do that to me, sir. You don't have that right. It's economic abuse. It is domestic violence. This was another escalation. Get her to her family's house on the 18th of December. Have somebody take her driver's license right out of her purse. You can't seem to keep your hands off stuff that doesn't belong to you. Boy, my granny used to get so mad at me if we went to the grocery store and I was touching stuff. If it isn't yours, don't touch it. Have some manners and some dignity. My family was the power in the town where I grew up, Mr. Perry. Dignitaries. He was a police chief. He was in law enforcement. So was my great-granddad. So was my dad. So was my great-great-granddad. I grew up cutting my teeth on his badge, Mr. Perry. So, who did you fuck with this time? It's just flicking at you right now. It's just flicking at you right now. Every time you're quoted. All day long. Order from Buffalo Wings. Order from Jack in the Box. We heard ya. You were recorded. People don't like what you're doing. So, you wanted me out there to get my license, have me go into town and have Manford police pull me over because I respect them, and you don't like that. You like to interfere with relationships that are good. You like to destroy and ruin connections that work. That's also abuse, and you're butting in where you don't. It's not your business, is it? I don't really have a relationship with Manford police. I had some very positive interactions with them. I haven't talked to them since I moved. Haven't been out there, haven't talked to them. I didn't go to see my family because of COVID. I have older relatives and I have little baby relatives, and I'm working with the public. I'm not going to get them sick inadvertently. COVID, you can carry it and not know you have it. I'm not going to get them sick, so I didn't go out there. But then I got vaccinated, and I quit working at a dancing club where I'm not interacting with the public so much. So I could have gone, but I've stayed away from them because you call them, like O.J. Simpson did to Nicole. She felt alienated by her family. Why? They supported him. They supported him. It kind of aggravated me when I'm watching Made in America and they're all crying. I'm like, where were you before she was killed? Where were you before? Because she complained in all her diaries, he's turning my family against me. He's paying their bills for him. He's offering them money, and they're threatening him, and they're on his side. And I need them right now, and they're not there for me. They're there for him. And then he murdered her. By the way, Mr. Powell, he's not found not guilty by the criminal jury, but found guilty in the wrongful conviction. So which jury is crazy and needs to go to the funny farm? In your professional opinion, as a medical psychiatric doctor, licensed. Yeah, before you start saying things, Mr. Perry, please shut up. Get out of my computer. No one asked you what you think, did they? Do you understand what it means when someone says, leave me alone, don't contact me again? I don't think you do. So, Mr. Perry had they said it took weeks to set this up. But they got in my apps, food delivery apps, and jammed all that up so I couldn't make any money. And I didn't even have the money to get gas to go out there. So that whole thing was a bust, as was Friday. I had an appointment with someone. My guys tell me, this appointment is Charles. It's a coaxing thing that he does. Coax you somewhere to hurt you, like he did Mike Neely. Don't go. I said, it's going to cost me this and this. Nope. It'll cost you a whole lot more if you go. Bail on it. So Friday I bailed on it. Because you guys got caught. You got caught again today, all day long. Have this guy order this from Buffalo Wings. Have this guy order that from Jack in the Box. Perry's guys. Same as having somebody go into my work. The only way you could know it is hacking. Hacking my phone. Cloning my phone. Get out of my computer. Get out of my phone. Get out of my life. Get out of it. No one picked a fight with you. You have a family you're betraying when you do that. Do you not care? Do you not care that at some point your kids may come to you and go, what was so important, Dad, you had to embarrass us with this? Because what you're doing is extremely embarrassing. And we don't know why you're not embarrassed. We are. We're embarrassed for you. You're not wanted. You're a wannabe. You're rejected. You're a reject. You wanted to mess this up. My family relationships and Manford Police. Because I respect Manford, and you don't like that. You don't like my family and I getting along. You like to alienate people and isolate people. That's abuse. Domestic violence abuse. It's part of the crime. Get out of my relationships. Get your nose into your own business. Get it out of mine. You're just a stalker. That's it. You've reduced yourself to the butt of a dirty joke, sir. Literally, you have. They have all kinds of names for you up here. Believe me, your guys that you paid to come to my work, some of them didn't want to participate in your weirdo. That's what they would tell me. David and Charles wanted me to come in here and say XYZ to you. I'm not going to do that. It's weirdo. Let's go get a lap dance. I'm sorry you have to deal with Senator Wackadoo is what they called you. Is that what you wanted? To be called that? Liz Taylor, soap opera queen. Coming up here again. I don't want to deal with it. I have other shit to do. One of the girls that I danced with at Lady Godiva's, I told you, jerked me into the bathroom. This guy is up here telling us to make you and Fabian not like each other. What in the fuck is going on? And that if you will not change your mind and comply, be complicit to the crime, we are to find a way to arrest you. Why is he always trying to put you back in jail? What happened to dinner and a movie? This is not love. This is sick. This is weird. What is going on? Who is this Fabian guy? They're scared to death of him. What happened in Dallas? Guess what else she did? The cop that went in to start looking into why I don't have any money. Everybody's wondering that too. She's too smart to be broke. He's stealing her money. Lucky said the same thing. We told them, get out of her wallet. That phrase, get out of her wallet, is Lucky's phrase. I would say he's taking my money. He's interfering with my money. He's running off my customers. But the actual phrase, get out of her wallet, is Lucky's phrase. Lucky Miller, the chief of police you killed. And you think you got away with it. You didn't. Not this time. Mike's going home. We'll get him out or you can. It'll go a lot better for you if you do it. If you don't, we will. You tampered with that whole trial. Because we all know you can't beat a guy to death and end up with not a mark on you while you're sleeping. Never been done in the history of people. It's embarrassing, Mr. Perry, that you think you fool people. It's so embarrassing. So, Mr. Robertson, I did not come up here to pick a fight with you. I didn't. You picked one with me. And you didn't count the cost first. You didn't get to know my background. So you picked a fight with people you can't beat. You've never been caught this much either. And by the way, watch who you tell. I can kill people and get away with it. Somebody gives me a hard time, they disappear. Watch who you say that to. And you start naming names because you want to brag. Who did you say that to that you shouldn't have? Somebody. So this girl tells that guy, he's going in, he goes, Cynthia, it is a vastly different club when you're there and when you're not. I went on both nights. I'd never met him. I didn't know who the guy was. He was hired by these guys helping me. He goes, one of these girls came and told me pretty much what she told you. And she says, they told the DJ to play Hotel California. They want her to feel stuck. She goes, you don't see her walking around here holding that guy's hand. She left. She moved. And there's this Fabian guy, and there was somebody before that. So, looks to me like he's stuck in Hotel California. Planet Weirdo. She's not. She can't stand him. They're having to have meetings in here telling us we got to make her not like Fabian. And if we don't, find some way to put her back in jail so they can force her into something she didn't want to do. It made me, I don't even understand that. I told her about it. I couldn't believe it. You know, that girl didn't finish high school. She was like 20-something years old. And she's not a Christian. And she knew that was wrong. You're a grown-ass man pretending to be a church deacon. And you got a college degree and you don't know it's wrong to do that? It's a crime. Big bad one. So you got told on that too. So this thing didn't work out that you wanted me arrested by Manford. False arrested again. Because you can't get your way. Who fucking who? Move on. This happened in Tulsa. Tulsa police. This envelope was not even sealed because our services in Oklahoma allow for us to use the Oklahoma... Mr. Perry, please shut up. This guy's still contacting me while I'm doing this podcast. He starts typing in my computer Mr. Perry, I don't care what you think. Mr. Perry, I do not care what you think. You are not asked. Mr. Perry, you weren't asked. So, and my guys get a recording. We told them just don't seal it and maybe it'll just fall out. There was money. Yeah, to pay bills. So, a bank card. There's one that's been sent out 4 times. You took it upon yourself to forward my mail to your house. My landlord, I'm talking to him about, they got my address here now. They're not supposed to have that. They shouldn't even be looking for it. Because they're having my mail sent. It goes to I participate in the protected address program because that was set up because Rebecca Schaefer ended up dead. When her stalker murdered her, he found her address from DMV records. So then a lot of states set up an address confidentiality program. My mail goes to the Oklahoma Attorney General's office. You can see the seal right here. I'm trying to get it bigger. You can see it. I can't do it. Okay, so it's right here on the corner. There's the seal. It goes to his office, and then they send it to me. So all the addresses are the Oklahoma Attorney General's office address that anybody can have. But somehow you got it and you had my mail forwarded, and there's the envelope wasn't sealed because you told them not to seal it. So which which employee at that office is corrupt enough not to seal that? And then, and it was forwarded, but then the postman saw me. So he said, I put this other sticker on it that says don't forward it. Because you've had mail forwarded, but I put this sticker on it, don't forward it. I'm seeing her. I need to confirm. I said, I've not filled out a fucking thing. So he was like, oh, wow. I said, yeah, my stalker probably did that. I'm telling my landlord, they got my address. How'd they get that? Right? Okay. Look at this. You can have people order from, first of all, you have to know what company am I working for by hacking. Is it, tonight am I going to do Uber Eats? Am I going to do DoorDash? Or am I going to do Grubhub? Because I've signed up for all three. Which part of town am I going to be in? I choose that depending on what mood I'm in. I can work in Jinx. I can work in Sapulpa. I can work in Tulsa. I can work in different parts of Tulsa. I can work in Claremore. I don't always work in Tulsa, Mr. Perry. So in order to know what part of town I'm working in and which company I'm working for, you got to hack. And then you have to do something weird in order for me to get your people. Because there's an algorithm that makes the decision. Yeah, and that would affect how much money I make, would it not? See? This guy's explaining how he tried to get his own order and it went to somebody else. He's kind of testing out how that algorithm works. So, my attorneys have that now, Mr. Perry. I'm going to witness in a murder trial, only I wasn't allowed to testify. And when I filed the motion to intervene, you guys made sure I didn't have any money to pay my electric bill. It got cut off. I did a week with no electricity, a week, cold showers, living with a flashlight, and no food. I went and bought bean dip at Quick Trip and ate that for a week. Bean dip, all week long. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that's witness tampering. You were trying to coerce me. You had Mr. Wagner giving me money. I made sure he gave it to me electronically. Not cash. I don't want the cash. I want it electronic. I want proof. So he did. I said, I need to pay you back. This is a loan. So make sure you do it electronically so I can keep track of it. I wanted proof. So you had him giving me money as long as I did what you thought, as long as you thought I was doing what you wanted. The second I don't know why you thought I was doing what you wanted ever. And the second I really came down pretty hard on behalf of Officer Neely, because I'm cop family. That's what cop family does. Take care of each other. Whether you know, I don't know him. I don't know Officer Neely. I sure appreciated the way he treated me. I appreciated it a lot. I appreciated the way Chief Ridley did too. That's why you wanted them to arrest me, right? On the 18th? That was a bust that you worked weeks on? A false arrest? The second one so you could go announce your candidacy? After you get up and have another press conference, oh, she got arrested again. You've tried that, different angles. Harassment, lewd and lascivious, jewelry, had Terry give me jewelry, try to starve me, hoping I'd go pawn it, get arrested for possession of stolen property. I didn't steal it, he gave it to me, and my guy has me take a picture of it after they recorded y'all talking about it. So he sees the picture, takes it to a jewelry guy. The jewelry guy goes, this isn't worth shit. I don't think they'd given it to her yet. Whatever it was they wanted her to pawn. Because this is $10 maybe. All of it together. $10 maybe worth of shit. It's Walmart crap. Avon crap. It's not worth anything. Pawn shop won't take it. That's when I cut Mr. Wagner off. I already knew he worked for Dave right off the bat. He's telling me I'm in road construction. Oh, you heard it? I didn't tell him there was a problem. I just said, oh, you heard of Dave Robertson with Dynamic Shot? No, never heard of him. In 40 years of living and working in the same state, in the same industry, you never even heard of him? Right then I knew. He's full of crap. He would have at least heard of him. I lived in the town of Las Vegas, Nevada, 2 million people. I've run into people outside of Nevada that worked in medical, and we know all the same people. So you work in the industry in the same place, you're going to know. You're going to at least heard of them. he didn't hear of them. Okay. You coaxed Mike. I've been subpoenaed. You're not supposed to call me. You're not supposed to text me. You're not supposed to try to reach out to me in any way at all. My guys call me. He just Facebook messaged you. Check it and answer. Check that. Look at it. So I look at it. How did I know he had to be coaxed to Pensacola? You wanted to see if I knew exactly which of the 5 of you did that. That's what you're fishing for. And then you want to know which of your other victims are talking. That's what you wanted to know. And I'm like, yes, no habla English. Wait for court. That's appropriate. What you're doing here is not. This is not a deposition. It's a Facebook message. You're not supposed to talk to witnesses after they've been subpoenaed, Mr. Perry. How many did you speak with? How many of the juries did you talk? How does a jury find a guy guilty? Look at this. Here's this, Mr. Perry. Shut up. When are you going to shut up? You never shut up. No one asked you what you think, did they? Mr. Perry, you were not asked, were you? Were you asked? I don't think you were, Connie Curry. So, have some manners, sir. This threat specifically to my vehicle on the 23rd of 2019, followed by broken radiator hose, oil was all drained out, the tail lights were out, taken out so I'd get pulled over. That's what Lucky was complaining about. We don't want to pull her over all the time. We got other shit to do. They're calling up here all the time wanting us to pull her over. That was all going on. We already saw that. That is point out for, okay, this is the arrest report for Officer Neely. The only injuries on this arrest report in this last paragraph: red swollen right hand, busted lip, and nose from being thrown onto the floor afterwards by a Hotel John. Picked him up off Lucky, who was already deceased. The fight was already over. Threw him face first into the floor, and he busted his face. That's the second event. Otherwise, at the very end here, it says he's got a red swollen right hand. Nothing else. You cannot beat somebody to death and not have a mark on you like that, Mr. Perry. That's my son who was in a scuffle. He was hit 3 times. Beer in his hand, didn't even slosh out. Everybody walked away. Went home. He didn't hit back. He's got bruised face. He's got busted lip. Look at Mike Neely. Nothing. Red swollen right hand. Well, there's an IV in it. Might that be why it's red and swollen? Detective Stupid. You can't beat somebody to death and look like that. Extensive damage over his head, neck, and face. Blunt force trauma to the head. Internal decapitation, strangulation. Bruised, swollen red eye. We already went through all this. You don't fall nice and neat, laying face up in a very, very small confined space like Lucky did. If he's hit, he's gonna fall slumped. There's no cameras they're all in their clothes, street clothes. Lisa said if they were going to bed, Mike would have been in his sweats. These are things everybody else missed. Because you were doing this. You planned this when I was in jail for the first false arrest, where I lost all my evidence that you were trying to kill me. Mr. Neely, I'm sorry, all the inmates told me, guess what? They just had a meeting. They're going to send you home and make you think they're not going to bother you. They're going to bother the hell out of you. Do things like forward your mail to their house. Vandalize your car. Try to kill you again. Send guys like Pinto in to offer you money. It's shit like that. Jam up your apps when you're trying to work. Run off your customers. Piss you off. And then when you tweet about it or you talk about it, they're going to say you're harassing them. And you can't say you didn't plan that because you did it twice in civil court. Also, while you're planning that, the Supreme Court judge, who is a First Amendment guy, was also in West Texas and died. And Commander O'Ritchie says, fishy stuff over there. They didn't do a post-mortem investigation like we would have. They didn't follow protocol like we would have had he died in D.C. What'd they do to him? Because a lot of times if you kill somebody with, say, arsenic, they were going to say that was a drug-related strip club death. They weren't going to claim arsenic. You think they were going to go, oh, we gave her arsenic. Nope. They're not going to admit to shit. And there was another recording where they were going to plan but this was right after I said in March Mike was drugged, didn't do it. Before they took depositions that confirmed that. He wasn't treated for being knocked out in a fight. He was treated for being drugged. Narcan. He was dying, too. So, they had they had planned right after that. We think we found a hitman that can finally kill Cindy and it not be linked to us. He was recorded saying, and then he saw me send that text to my attorney telling him they're trying to kill me again. They hired another hitman that they think can do it, and it won't be linked to them. So since they got recorded saying that, it will be linked to them. They tried to do it anyway. Do you know how many times they knew I had this? This was dated before they did it, months before they did it. 4/11/2018. I've got some before that even. I mean, this is stalking, Mr. Perry. You're a stalker. I left. There should have been the end of it. I'm not in love with you. You make my skin crawl. You butt into me and Fabian. So there was a me and Fabian, wasn't there? You know what Fabian said? To me? I think you deserve better than to spend the rest of your life harassed by this guy. I think so too. I absolutely think so too. I'm glad he's the only person on the planet that hasn't been used to coax me into something you want to do to hurt me. Nobody else can say that. He can say that. So you've even tricked my family into I'm gonna say this. He's the only adult person that hasn't been used to try to coax me into doing something you want to do to hurt me. We don't know what lies you tell people to try to get them to help you. So I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at you. Believe me. I was upset with, like I said, with Nicole's family, that they get on TV and cry that she's deceased now. Where were you before? Where were you before? You knew there was problems. Why didn't you do something before? You made her feel alienated. Why'd you do that? You should have been there for her, because it was a little different situation. There was some threats and there was some money floating around, but they still could have come out more strongly before. And LAPD too. There was a guy that was a cop, LAPD police officer that was their friend, and he knew there was problems, and he said, "I wish I had done something." Yeah, you should have. You were a cop. You could have arrested him and made it stick. So, anyways, it doesn't do any good to get on TV and cry after somebody is deceased, murdered. You're supposed to stop it beforehand. So, this is dated 4/11/2018. This pissed off all those inmates, Charles. They were all mad. Mr. Powell told other people. I guess some other defense attorneys, they told their clients, and it got all around. Well, it was all over the jail. He's going to hurt you again. Justice Scalia. Oh, I know what I was talking about. They're going to have somebody pretend to be sick, medical emergency faked up. You're going to help. Then they're going to tell you the guy that you helped has a virus. You need a shot or you'll get it too. The shot is strychnine. It'll kill you dead. So, they were going to say that it was an unfortunate allergic reaction to some sort of shot that would have kept me from dying. And the hitman said, "What do I do if she won't take the shot?" And you said, "You make sure she takes the shot. You make sure she will think she's going to die if she doesn't." I heard the recording of you, Mr. Perry. I heard it. You think you're going to go on a date with you now? Nope. March 2020. He was drugged and didn't get a full talks panel. That is a Brady violation, Florida State's attorney. He ignored me. Sure shit. We gave him Narcan because he was found unconscious and in respiratory distress and drugged. Who gave him the drugs, Perry? Lucky didn't give him the drugs. That's what the fight was about that Hotel John came to look at the first time they were called up there over loud noise. Mike had called down a couple of hours before looking for the remote, opened the door nice and wide. He could see Mike was fine. Lucky's resting on the bed by the window. Everybody's fine. Later, there's the fight because Lucky was mad. Why is my friend Mike passed out? And that's what the fight was about, wasn't it? As soon as he shut the door, he's subdued and pulled and placed in that very confined area by the bed where he was found and beaten to death, where he died. The roaring noise went on. Nobody can explain what that roaring noise was. 45 minutes. Most likely that was the sound of a man dying. Mr. Perry, you got caught this time. Because if you didn't do that murder, you wouldn't have made sure I don't testify and made sure I went out, got punished with no electricity and no food for a week. You're doing the same thing now. We got to notify the court now that you've made it rain and somebody lied about mail. They got the mail. That mail was sent plenty of time. That's why we included it in the petition to show the court there's going to be a problem with this. So we're going to make sure the court can see it was sent in plenty of time. How do you think they found that out, Mr. Perry? Yep, you got a problem. And this guy, I know a lot. He knows a lot. I've been watching behind the scenes, he says. And I've signed a letter of discretion. See, how did he know when I was going to be at work and when I'm not? Unless you hacked me. Black Lexus comes up again, like Stephanie was mentioning. Yeah, this one. I got him to text what he said to the night before, but I wasn't able to record him. It wasn't safe. This guy, I didn't know. How did he know when I was working to show up at my work where I am in Oklahoma? He's a Native American. This, under McGirt, is federal. Arsenic and phenobarbital is what you gave me? Yes. Would that make any reasonable, prudent individual afraid? Yeah, arsenic will kill you dead. 2 police officers in August 2015 tell me he wants to just find some way to arrest you. So we told him no, we're not doing that. But that doesn't mean he's gonna find some asshole that'll do it. So I write the the U.S. Attorney a letter, Mr. Perry. You're just gonna find a way to arrest me again? He's typing that in my phone now. Yes, I'll find a way to arrest you. Okay, duly noted. We've already said that, Mr. Perry. You're already caught on that. Having some chick show up at Quick Trip. We found a girl that committed a crime that looks kind of like Cynthia, except she's heavier, quite a bit heavier, and she has darker hair, a little bit darker, and darker skin. We got to get Cindy into the tanning booth, and we got to find out what color her hair is so we can have the actual offender dye her hair the right color. But on the day of the crime, it was still not the same. On the day of the crime, I'm lighter skinned, she's darker skinned, and her hair's the color is darker than mine, and she's heavier. Did you put her on a diet too? You got caught on that too, Perry. You want to arrange that second false arrest, but see, you agreed to leave me the fuck alone. You have to admit guilt to agree to stop. This is my bond conditions. Your name says you're not going to bother me anymore because you guys wanted me to lie, and I said I'm not going to lie. I will say nothing, but I have one condition. He never contacts me again, ever. So that's why that's here. This was a contract. I sued you for breach of contract. Never been a ruling on it. You had the whole thing thrown out with a phone call. Res judicata. In order to qualify for res judicata, it has to be a matter before a court, before there was a jury trial, a fair trial and a fair hearing, and it got dismissed. The jury found, in favor of the defendant. None of that happened. That was only one court that there was a breach of contract allegation made, claim, and there was no hearing on it, no determination made of whether or not this constitutes a contract. So you guys fucked around with the court again. Because we didn't get the ruling according to the law. So there's another one. This was before my first false arrest. 1/4/16. My first false arrest was on 1/29/16. Killing me and arranging a false arrest isn't going to mean he's not a stalker. It's going to mean he is a stalker. Yep. Lucky. You guys knew he came into my club. You just wanted to see what he told me. He asked me about the marriage license that he saw that was forged. I still haven't seen. Didn't sign it. It's marriage fraud. And he said, we told them, if you were being mugged, 5 guys would beat you up and get her purse back. Get out of her wallet. You're inconveniencing people in my town so you can get out of a lawsuit. Why don't you be men and go do the lawsuit like normal people do? Cowards. 5 men against 1 woman who's not been to law school. All 5 men have attorneys, seasoned attorneys, old farts. Been practicing for a while. They're not new, fresh out of school. She's never been to law school. What are you afraid of? Something. 11 times you make a phone call and I don't get a... Yeah, like this one. She's going to file a 12/10/31. All I did is put a tentative date in my calendar, and you saw that hacking me. By the way, I'm on the dean's list. I'm in criminal justice college, Mr. Perry. And she said, I guess I'll have to do a little better than because it's frowned upon this time. Yeah, and you still fucked it up. Mr. Powell always looking for my address. Yep. I got that in jail. Who has the power to get me that in jail, Mr. Perry? Your name's not on it. You're me. You're the selfish butt-in and nothing more. Fabian intersecting with Hope. It's not somebody else's name. It's Fabian's name on that puzzle. I got that in jail. On the sides it says sad and boo, representing the fear and sadness you always cause that we're all tired of. We're all sick of it. That's why it's easy to get what you just said. And boo is a private joke between one of my cop friends and I. This was the harassment email, 12/31/2017. I started talking about